All right, hello everyone. My name is Dante Baker, and this is Russell Jaffe, Dr. Russell Jaffe. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm really excited about extending our conversation, our interview. If you haven't checked out our interview, please check it out. We just did one in a couple days ago. We're here back now just to, in a way, wrap things up and give people how to implement everything we talked about. We talked about a lot, so please definitely check it out. But how do we implement lifestyle changes? How do we implement food, diet? And he's going to explain all that. So please take it
Yes.
away.
So this is in our book, Thriving in the 21st Century. But what it says there is that if you will invest 5% of your time, mostly a few minutes here and there, you can achieve all the goals that we described in regard to what you eat and drink, think, and do. So let's dive right in. 72 minutes is what the math computes to. And I'm going to start in the evening because this is the biggest, quote, chunk of time. Most people get tired and fall into bed. That's the wrong way. You get restorative sleep, maybe starting a half an hour before you're going to go to bed because you're now switching from the doing of the day to the being of the night. And you might take two enhanced tryptophan to build serotonin and melatonin where it's needed, when it's needed, physiologically, not pharmacologically. You might include 5 minutes of abdominal breathing and 15 minutes of relaxation response or mindfulness practice or prayer, if possible, in a warm tub of Epsom salts and baking soda. If you can, you put a half a cup each of Epsom salts and baking soda in a warm tub of water, come out pink like a baby, not red like a lobster. If you have only a shower or you have only a foot bath, put a tablespoon or two of baking soda and Epsom salts in a soaking bath and put your feet in it. And then turn a green light on. And this is very important and probably new to many people. Green harmonizes your brain. It harmonizes your pineal and pituitary. It harmonizes all your hormones, neurochemicals, and cytokines. Really? Yes. And there's one level of your retina, of your eye nerve, that wires directly into the pineal gland and has nothing to do with vision and everything to do with how much blue, green, and red you put in through your eyes. The eyes are a window on the body. They really are, if you know how to look and understand. So, I want you to do a graceful transition so that you are now ready to receive restorative sleep. And what happens during restorative sleep? This is quite new information, but quite well validated. Validated by functional MRIs and validated by a variety of non-invasive studies on people. Your brain actually settles and allows spinal fluid to pump more vigorously to remove debris from wear and tear and to stimulate renewal overnight. And not just renewal in your brain, in your skull, you have a second brain in your gut, the microbiome, in communion with the metabolism, the metabolome. And this greatly influences your ability to renew and detoxify overnight, including at a certain 5 minute time window in each of the first 3 or 4 sleep cycles. A signal goes out that tells your immune defense and repair system to look for any abnormal cells and eliminate them by apoptosis. if you heard what I just said, everyone makes cancer cells, and healthy people eliminate those cancer cells on a regular daily basis during restorative sleep. And then in the morning, you don't get up with an alarm. In fact, in my bedroom, there are no devices, no Wi-Fi needed while I'm asleep. You might put it on a timer so that the Wi-Fi goes off at a certain point in time. You might remove an alarm clock from your bedroom. I want you to go to bed early enough that not only can you get restorative sleep, you might enjoy your dream life. There's a technique called lucid dreaming, pioneered in the 1970s by Stephen Lauberge. I studied with him then, and my dream life is actually quite interesting and instructive. Now, everyone does, to some extent, dream. Your eyes move back and forth rapidly when you're asleep. But if you're getting restorative sleep, you're likely to remember those dreams, and they might be helpful or instructive in one way or another. So restorative sleep, very important. That's about half an hour out of the 72 minutes. We now have 42 minutes left throughout the day.
Mhm.
For
One
me,
thing
yeah.
I was going to ask you, so with sleep, I wanted to ask you about eating time because that is really important before
Eating
you
and
go to,
drinking, eating and
yeah.
drinking, and thinking and doing all feed into this. So in the best of cases, during that half hour, you devote at least 15 or 20 minutes under a green light to relaxation response or mindfulness practice or meditative practice or prayer or mantra or whatever you prefer. It turns out if you do something you enjoy, it is dramatically more helpful and more sticky. It stays with you longer if you enjoy it. So, yes, I do regularly spend time in inner space exploration. And I think we all should. It's good for your soul and spirit. It's actually good for your mind and body. It actually allows you to tune up, not tune down. And similarly, I walk at least 20 minutes once or twice a day. I try to get 8 or 10,000 steps in, which is not too hard if you pay a little attention to doing a few hundred or a few thousand steps at a time, and preferably outdoors, because outdoor air is always better than indoor air. And if you just walk for 20 minutes, your brain, according to Richie Davidson and other people who do these functional MRI, very elegant studies, your brain wakes up just from walking and preferably walking outside and in a garden, a glade, a forest, if possible. You might want to have a little garden that provides fresh herbs and seasonal vegetables, or have a few fruit trees, which you will share with the squirrels, but it's okay. We get our share, and they get theirs. So, uh, restorative sleep is my anchor. I feel really good in the morning when I get up. I actually get up about 6:30 in the morning, but I actually don't get out of bed for about another hour. And I muse and I dream and I actually check my inner guidance system to see if there's anything more or less that I need today so that I can have meaningful moments and thrive. So in the morning, I suggest 5 minutes, and I'm going to suggest this several times during the day. I suggest 5 minutes of stretching and wiggling. I also do some deep knee bends because my knee is being rehabilitated, fortunately, without any interventions. But the more I exercise my knee, the happier my knee becomes. So just about 5 minutes. And in that 5 minutes, you have your first dose of ascorbate, nature's vitamin C, based on your C cleanse to determine personally how much you need that day. And then you repeat the C cleanse weekly because the amount you need and the stresses you're under and the toxins you get exposed to do vary from week to week. Then, if you're going to sit, and many people do, 5 minutes every hour, get up from the chair, look around, hydrate, maybe go and urinate. If you're well hydrated, you will be urinating every 2 hours while you're awake. And now to answer your question, I eat my food, my calories, between noon and 6 p.m. This is called modified fasting or whatever you want to call it. This is a technique that has been validated for some people. It does work for me. For other people, they might need to graze. They might need to have whole items, a few of them every 2 hours. They might need to graze through the day. Find out what your digestion wants and then feed your digestion and microbiome. We have a digestive quintet that supports the stomach, the small intestine, the large intestine, and the rectum, and allows your digestive transit time to be 12 to 18 hours. What you have at night should come out in the morning. Notice that there are now hours in the evening when I might or might not have a glass of wine or a more mineral water. But I don't eat within 2 or 3 hours of my bedtime. I go to bed relatively early. I get up relatively early. There's an old saying about early to bed, early to rise, makes you healthy, wealthy, and wise. It's supposed to, that's the aphorism. I'm testing it out. So 5 minutes every hour that you're sitting, you get up and undo the adverse effects of sitting. You might want to try a walking desk or something that makes you more active. The more active you are, the more your fluids move. The more your fluids move, the more you bring nutrients to all the cells of your body and take wastes away. This is very important as part of biodetoxification. And then, again, a few minutes in the day to make staples out of garlic, ginger, red onions or shallots, brassica sprouts like broccoli sprouts, and duck or quail eggs. One or more of those should be staples in the diet. Thomas Jefferson, the president way back in the days of the founding fathers, recommended these as staples in the diet, not as condiments. And do I have regular fermented foods and sea vegetables? Yes. Do I have on a regular basis a dal, which is a lentil stew, or a curry with glass needles? These are bean curd bean curd noodles, not grains. So I'm grain free. I'm added sweetener free. I'm edible oils free. I have a lot of grasses, whole vegetables, fruits and berries, sea vegetables, fungi, composed salads, and this is how I live. I hope there are a few questions because the 72 minutes mostly is in few minutes here and there, in between sitting, in between eating. And I recommend starting every meal with something wet and warm. I want your hydration level to be about 4 liters a day. That's about a gallon a day. You should be urinating about every 2 hours. to wash your kidneys from all the toxins of high-tech living. Chronic kidney disease, autoimmune disease, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, turbo cancer. These are all accelerating, and our lifespan is actually in America declining compared to the rest of the world. We spend the most, we suffer the most, and we bury at least 1 million people a year early because of the complications of diabetes and nutritional deprivations. Look at what you often get served to you in a hospital. And the fact that in America, healthcare is a privilege, not a right of citizenship, and the stresses of the medical system add more unnecessary deaths. So we could save 1 million lives. We could have $1 trillion a year to devote to primary prevention. And this thriving in the 21st century, this outline of a plan that I have just elucidated for you,
Mhm.
is all evidence-based. It's all scientifically validated. We just bring it together in a consumer-friendly way, and we want people to be thriving. We want meaningful moments. I want to have my friends with me at whatever advanced age I am and dancing. I don't want to just be present and accounted for, but I
Yeah,
want to be alive and vital and dancing.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that a very well planned out uh, and I think it's just great to have something step by step, something that people can easily do, because sometimes people get really overwhelmed with lots of different tasks in general in their own lives. So something that is easily planned for them can help them thrive
I
and
was
work.
just talking with a very successful entrepreneur and so forth, and he pointed this out, what you just said.
Mhm.
Sometimes people are way smart in what they're knowledgeable about, but when they walk into a food market, they just don't know what to do. Half of the calories, half of what many young people and many people today consume are these processed, crisped, chipped, plastic wrapped beverages in plastic, things wrapped in clear plastic, things from styrofoam. And he was way interested in the few minutes we had in how to avoid these chemicals that he didn't realize he was getting. And many people need to be awakened and informed that 80% of the hormone disruptors, 80% of the neurochemical harmful chemicals, 80% of the immune toxins can be avoided. And the other 20%, your liver, your spleen, your kidneys, your lungs, your skin, can detoxify if you'll give it the biodetoxifying elements, nature's ascorbate, bioavailable polyphenolics, the digestive quintet that I mentioned, and importantly, any specific things that you need to bring your predictive biomarkers, there are 8 of them, to bring your predictive biomarkers. And you can find out more about this on drrusselljaffe.com and our YouTube channel, Dr. Russell Jaffe. But if your predictive biomarkers are at the best outcome value, you have a 99% chance of living another 10 years, even if you're 90 or 100.
Wow. That's
And my teacher, I've had many, many, many mentors, and I'm trying to pay it forward because I can't really pay it back to them. But with Bhante Dharmawara, a Cambodian Buddhist monk, I had 30 years until he was 110. So from his 80th birthday until 110, um, I was his student, disciple. And at 106, my colleagues at NIH were willing and interested in studying him from stem to stern. And by most of these functional measures, he came out about 40. And I put the information in front of him, and he looked at me and smiled and said, 40 is a good age. So if you can be 106 and feel like you're 40 and function like you're 40 and have test values that confirm that you're 40, why not?
Yeah.
It is possible. It seems like an urban legend, but I can tell you that while it's a minority today, it will be the way of primary prevention tomorrow.
Yeah, I do believe that. I do believe that now that we have information age, we can access the right information. You yourself and others are putting out this type of information for people who want to see change in their life. So it's really important and it's good. I wanted to talk about before you go to sleep. You did mention this, is that you only eat 2 to 3 hours before. Um, so some people sometimes will eat like a really, really heavy meal before they go to sleep. Um, what is it about eating and then immediately going to sleep that can affect your digestive system
Yeah.
in a negative way?
It affects every aspect of you, starting with your digestive system. The digestive system should have moved food through the stomach into the small intestines before you go to bed. And that takes several hours, often more, if you overload your stomach, if you have a high fat content in your meal. Now, sometimes in the evenings, I have some berries. Sometimes in the evenings, I have a small amount of seeds or nuts. I make my own hummus. I might have a fingerful or so, a tablespoonful of hummus. So it's not that I have to restrict myself and feel deprived. This is how I feel better, how my digestion feels better. When we have roast beets in the evening, in the morning, I see red in the commode. And even after all these years, my first thought is never, oh, I had beets last night. So we recommend your digestive transit time be measured using charcoal capsules. We recommend you check your need for ascorbate using the C-cleanse. We recommend that you check your hydration status and you check your morning urine pH to determine how much magnesium and choline citrate you need to triple the uptake of magnesium, to do all the wonderful things that choline does to correct choline deficiencies, and to alkalinize and energize the battery, the um, mitochondria of the cells. Now, you might need some CoQ10 micellized in 100% rice bran oil in a soft gel, or other specialized items because of the stresses and the toxins that you're exposed to. So it gets more interesting. It helps to have a health coach or a knowledgeable health professional who has trained themselves, like through our PIH Academy, which is a self-paced online, now in the 7th year, and we go into a deep dive on how to thrive, how to practice primary prevention, not just better symptom care. And this is a paradigm shift towards wellness, towards holism, towards living in harmony with your nature after you understand a bit about your nature. So this is inner space exploration combined with outer space activities so that we eat and drink, think and do ourselves into a state of well-being.
Yeah, that's very important. And you have to shift some things in your life in order to have good health. And one thing, or there's many things, but one thing I wanted to ask you is about the importance of actually smelling your food and seeing it. And the process of doing that is cooking. Like when you're
Well,
cooking,
let's back up half a step.
mhm.
I think your kitchen should have a gentle makeover so that you prepare colorful whole foods. I eat about a third to 40% of my food raw. I eat about a third to 40% of my food cooked al dente, cooked minimally so that the color is maximized. And I prefer one pan meals, which means I take the pan off the stove to the table and serve from there. Yeah, start every meal with something wet and warm. Start it with 3 drops of our digestive aid and maybe some L-histidine so you'll have some stomach acid to really open up and digest the food. There are nuances that almost everyone needs today to rehabilitate their digestion, their microbiome, their biodetoxification system, their metabolism. And it is possible to enjoy doing this. This is not for me in any way less than a delight to be able to prepare, serve, consume, and eliminate food in due course.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think another thing I want to ask too is that so there's people on different sides of about supplementation. There's people who say like, oh, your diet should have everything that you need to fuel your body. And I think what you alluded to is that we're living in a very different century. We're living in more toxicity, we're living in under technology, and also even the food itself may not have all the nutrients because of the ground, because of what we've done. And so, what would you say to the people who are either skeptical, unsure about
Well,
supplementations?
the facts are in, the studies have been done. Yes, always more studies are needed, but in the meantime, we know enough to say. In the 19th century, it was possible. In the 21st century, supplementation and safer, more bioavailable supplementation is required. You really have to pay attention to what you eat and drink, think, and do, so that you're putting in as much wholeness, as much nature, nurture, and wholeness as possible, and as little toxicity. And that's why I will say again that I am added sweetener free, I am edible oil free, I am grain free because these are no longer edible foods. They have been so manipulated, including the organic versions, which are very often owned by the same company that's making ultra-processed foods. That's kind of interesting. It's highly profitable to addict people to what's called the crave factor and make them want more and gain weight. And I will tell you for full disclosure that 15 plus years ago, I weighed 65 pounds more and my hemoglobin A1C was above 5%. And then I safely and slowly lost the weight, renewed myself. I've kept it off for 15 plus years, so it is possible. This notion of the yo-yo diet is not necessary, even though my mom gained and lost a whole lot of weight over her lifespan because of the stresses and traumas of her life. So I've learned from many what to do, and I've learned from some what not to do. And I'm an example of someone who's a reformed healer. I'd like to be helpful to anyone, anywhere. But that means inspiring you to take action about what you eat and drink, think, and do. Because therein is 92% of your lifetime health is your habits of daily living. It's your epigenetics. It's your daily lifestyle. Now, 8% is transgenerational influences and genetic, omic, DNA, RNA. But if you want to get the most out of your DNA and RNA, make sure your epigenetics has optimized using bioavailable supplements, nature's ascorbate, and bioavailable polyphenolics, the digestive quintet, maybe the detox kit, We have bundled these together so that you get synergies of benefits safely and effectively without getting to become the biochemist that I would aspire to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate that. And I wanted to go just a little bit more into the difference between bioavailable vitamins and then the generic ones that you'll see in Safeway or something like that. What's the difference for
Again,
people?
I think it's there's an open secret. The secret is synthetic vitamins are more profitable and they're almost always the ones that are studied. And synthetic vitamins are completely different from nature's sources. For example, synthetic beta carotene in high doses does not help people with lung cancer. But beta carotene should be part of the carotenoid family, and you should be getting all the carotenoids, and you should be getting your vitamin A from beta carotene, which is easily taken up from the human GI tract. It's not water soluble, but in digestion, it is easily transported, taken up and transported to the liver, where it builds the vitamin A naturally and safely. Vitamin E. Almost all studies are done with the single synthetic form, a succinate or an acetate form of one form of vitamin E. Don Schutte and many others taught me many years ago that you need all 8 forms of vitamin E. The gamma form of vitamin E is helpful for your heart. The D alpha form is not helpful for your heart. Well, I want a heart-friendly vitamin E, so I want natural vitamin E, the way the Schutt brothers did it in the 1950s, and they studied thousands of people at risk of cardiovascular disease, and they found when you gave nature's tocopherols and tocotrienols, when you gave the natural form in enough amount to deal with today's high-tech toxic living, cardiovascular, heart attacks, strokes were dramatically reduced. How come those studies, well done, elegant studies, have largely been forgotten by the people who say take none a day? Now, I am saying do not take synthetic forms of nutrients that probably have low bioavailability. Almost no supplement company, there are a few exceptions, and I want to commend them, will tell you about the bioavailability of their nutrients, about how much natural form versus synthetic form. And I recommend no synthetics, always nature. And yes, it's a little harder to work with the natural products, but you get so much better functional benefits, primary prevention. They actually benefit, not harm.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that because there are people who don't know the difference or they just see vitamin C. Oh, okay, vitamin C. And they go into the aisle and say, oh, I'll get the cheapest one. And so,
No, no, let's take that one up. Nature's
mhm,
ascorbate is done under a nitrogen blanket. It is fully buffered, fully reduced, all L-ascorbate. What you get from the shelf, even of the health food store, is ascorbate made in air because it's much cheaper, but it's damaged by the oxygen in the air during production. I want nature's ascorbate, and I want it based on my weekly C cleanse. So on a weekly basis, I take enough ascorbate to cleanse that helps top up my repair system. And then on a daily basis, I take about half or 3/4 of that amount spread through the day to make sure that free radicals don't form, to make sure that I have enough of nature's antioxidant to regenerate all the other antioxidants. Nature's ascorbate is a maternal antioxidant. It is the principal antioxidant that regenerates everything else from glutathione to FAD. I could go on and on. It's remarkable how many benefits nature's ascorbate brings, but damaged ascorbate does not.
yeah. And I think just a few more questions is for people who are in our time right now, we're in the East Coast, it's winter. Um, people are saying, "Oh yeah, it's the flu season, and it's time for me to go and either get a generic vitamin C or see the doctor and get a flu shot." What would you talk to people about the whole idea of the flu season, and then also why is it important to um, supplement on vitamin D and all the other stuff that can help you boost your immune system?
Well, whether it be spring or fall, summer or winter, you need enough of nature's ascorbate and bioavailable polyphenolics. You need enough vitamin D to bring your vitamin D level to 50 to 80 for almost all humans. That means drops under the tongue before swallowing because you have some maldigestion, dysbiosis, enteropathy, which means atrophy of the digestive tract. And vitamin D is very poorly absorbed from many people's gut. So bioavailable for sure, micellized for sure, often distilled under nitrogen to protect and preserve nature's forms, all recommended. And too much of the data is on the synthetic form that I can predict before the study will fail because imbalance is imbalanced. And in nature, in life, in physiology, balance is very important. A balance of neurochemicals, hormones, cytokines, a balance of your mood, your productivity, your ability to mobilize yourself when you need to under stress without getting distressed. It's possible to thrive in the 21st century.
It is. Absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah. Um, I think we covered a lot of great information today. Hopefully people will look you up online, get the book and start to and talk to a professional health coach and get some assistance if they really need that. But I think
Yes,
it's
I,
time.
I I urge people to find a health coach that you like, that brings you up, or a health professional who's been certified in this kind of work, as I've indicated, because there is huge opportunity to feel and function better, to get harmful chemicals out of the body or to avoid them in the first place, to be able to live in a way that you have joy in your kitchen, in your bedroom, in your personal care, and in your environment. And every one of those may need a little bit of a makeover, which we talk about in our book, Thriving in the 21st Century. So check us out online, drrusselljaffe.com, on the YouTube channel, if you prefer, Dr. Russell Jaffe. And please feel inspired from today to take one small step towards being healthier. And you'll be surprised how the benefits come in from even small steps, but be persistent. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's life in the 21st century, which is, as we've said, completely different. And the evidence is now in that we're in an intoxicated age and we need to be proactive, otherwise, we'll get intoxicated.
Absolutely. Well, we're here to help. Thank you so much. Many blessings.